Mr. Coughlan, you're in charge here of the marketing and communication. And what about participants, the most important asset for ERA? How did the participants react to these events? How did they react to switching from face-to-face to online? From this beautiful ERA, making it a castle of sleeping beauty and entering it virtually?
ERA's participants were in a way the first ones to alert us to what was going on, because at the beginning of the year, as Wolfgang was saying, the participant numbers started to drop in February and the beginning of March, where we saw that people were not willing to travel, to take the risk of attending a face-to-face event. Then, as we entered into lockdown, really our entire face-to-face program had to be put on hold for at least a month and a half in April and the beginning of May. And we switched to online-only programs. Initially, we were very cautious. We were ready to take a big risk in terms of the numbers who would be willing to attend an online program like this. In the past, we had seen that there was a certain interest in it, but it wasn't necessarily the great success that in the end, in a way, it has turned out to be. What we've seen is that our target groups were really willing to make that shift. They saw, as it were, the need for training, the need to meet with fellow practitioners was still there, and therefore they were willing, if the only option available was to do so, was online.
About your target groups, is there any difference between the participants who are online and participants who were face-to-face? What would you say?
In terms of the diversity of our participants, which is one of the really rich aspects of training and meeting at ERA, meaning coming from every country in the European Union and beyond, meaning coming from all of the different legal professions. In fact, the composition online was very similar to the composition face-to-face. It is, though, different, and we have to understand and to work on that. In the sense that there are certain target groups perhaps for whom networking is a particularly important part of the experience, and for all that we have tried with different methods and we keep trying, we know that networking online is never going to be the same experience as face-to-face. And so those target groups, perhaps lawyers in private practice, for example, that would appreciate that aspect more, those numbers have not been so good. But generally, overall, it's really remarkable to see how our population, like I suppose other populations, have been able and willing to make that shift to online. And for some of them, it's a lot more convenient. It provides greater access. It allows people to participate who would not normally be able to because of the cost of travel, time away from the office, time away from work. So it's actually opening new opportunities as well for us.
Exactly. What next? What do you think, what would be the lessons learned from you from this period and also in terms of participants?
I think in the same way that when we went into lockdown, we were very cautious about the numbers we could expect to go online only. We are now, at the beginning of 2021, cautious about how many are going to be willing to get back to face-to-face. So that's going to be the biggest challenge, is really managing expectations in terms of those who do want to come to face-to-face, ensuring that they get all the reassurance that they need in terms of the sanitary measures that we put in place when they come to TRIA or when we meet in another venue. But at the same time, to continue with our online programs to cater for that part of our target audience that will not travel or that indeed is unable to travel. The big unknown that we have now is, even if we have the vaccinations in place, even if we have the pandemic under control, will people be willing and able to travel as frequently for business as they were beforehand? And we have to be able to react to that.